1. A willow tree sways in the wind. 2. Water splashes over smooth rocks in a stream. 3. A wren bird sings out from somewhere high above. I wake up in silence every day. I live somewhere between sound and silence. It's a lucky thing, I suppose, to be able to choose which world I want to be in. When the doctor put in my hearing aids for the first time, I cried a lot. They felt strange, and none of my friends had them. But when we stepped outside the office, a world of sound hit me. I heard the birds for the first time, in the wind, and the cars driving by. As we walked around, I asked what the strange tapping sound was. My mom told me it was my own shoes hitting the pavement. At that point, we realized just how many sounds I had been missing out on. 1986. It's a warm October night, and my dad leaves his hotel in Hough, Colombia. He joins his friend at a restaurant where he sees my mom for the first time. You know, that whole love at first sight thing. She only speaks Spanish, so their friends do all the translating. They hang out as much as they can for the next few days, and by the end of the week, he proposes to her. She says no, convinced that he's crazy. But he goes back for her 7 times, and 2 years later, they get married in Miami. Another 2 years later, I was born. My dad was so thrilled. He brought me home in a limo. When I was 3, my dad bought a farm in Oklahoma, and he built a home for us there. I don't think they realized this, but my parents were both really good at teaching me about life. Our farm became a classroom. I learned how to fish and watched my dad make meals from what we caught. We went camping and trail riding in the mountains. My dad showed me every new calf that was born, and I remember watching a cow give birth to a beautiful baby as the sun was setting and the moon was rising. We named him Moonlight. My mom taught me about the arts and culture. She took me to museums and the theater and concerts. I learned to play piano, to ice skate, to paint. We went to Colombia often, and I learned about my heritage. We used to sit outside at night and look up at the stars. She would point out one of the brightest ones and tell me that was my abuelo, looking down on me and watching over me. My dad's creativity and my mom's love for the arts sparked a love for creating in me. Because of who they are, I was born an artist. In the 90s, hearing tests weren't done on newborns. My parents noticed I didn't hear them sometimes, but thought that maybe I was just too distracted in my play. Around 12 years old, my eye doctor noticed something different about my retinas. I was sent to a specialist and got diagnosed with a genetic disorder, Usher syndrome. The doctor told me that there was no way of knowing, but that I should be prepared to lose my sight and most of my hearing. I was so young. I didn't fully understand what that meant for my future. My parents hid their devastation very well. I didn't know this until I was older, but after I was diagnosed, my dad sobbed behind my back for days. We flew to Colombia, and my mom quietly hoped that the plane would crash and that we would all die. She thought that I would have an incredibly hard life, and the future seemed unbearable. As I got older, fear started to creep in. I tried to imagine a world without sound or light, and wondered how I would be happy. It was a heartbreaking feeling. Some nights I would stare at a picture of my mom's face, trying to commit every detail to memory. When my friends and I would go camping, I would look at the sky and ask if there were any stars out. Hundreds, they would say. I usually couldn't see a single one, and I felt as if I lost my only connection to the grandfather that I never met. Eventually, the practical side of me began to tell me art wouldn't be an option down the road. I suddenly felt the weight of everything stacked against me, and the future, which had once seemed so bright, now scared me. And then I heard about pottery classes at a local art studio, and started going once a week. Ceramics was so discouraging at first because no one starts out good. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't hide the imperfection of my pieces. I wanted to create something that was clean, polished, unbroken. Perhaps this was what I had wanted in my own life. When my instructor looked at my first batch of cups, he picked up the worst looking one. As he held it up and pointed out the curve left behind by my inexperienced hand, he went on to describe its beauty. He told me about wabi-sabi, a Japanese concept which embraces the beauty of the imperfect simply because it's unique. There would never be a cup exactly like it. And that was the moment I fell in love with ceramics. I was just like that cup. For the longest time, I had believed that one day not being able to see or hear the beauty of the world meant that it would no longer exist. This isn't true. There have been times in life when I thought the people around me were deaf and blind to the important things in life. The most beautiful things in the world can't be seen or heard. They are felt with our souls. My mom told me recently she knew there was a reason that she and my dad met. Two very different people, worlds apart, who happened to carry the same recessive gene, were brought together to bring me to life. There is a reason I have this life. This disease has given me a healthy sense of urgency in life, an urgency to look closely and to hear others and to breathe and to absorb as much as I possibly can. I love the sound of our cows running towards my dad, mooing in anticipation of dinner. I love the musical Spanish that fills the room when my mom is reunited with her sisters. I love the sound of rain coming down outside, and I love the sound of my wheel spinning as I sit down to make something new. I wake up in silence every day. I live somewhere between sound and silence.